Miss Michelle, shall I start? Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, mga teachers. How are you today? I know that marami tayong mga ginagawa and our schools are already open, especially sa mga taga-private schools. So I hope that we are enjoying our classes, especially right now. No, there's really a very big challenge ahead of us. Starting our school year 2020-2021. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this afternoon, we are going to relearn again and walk through again with some practices that we've been doing as teachers. And my task this afternoon is to walk you through and of course, learn something also from you. I'm looking into our discussions and the different comments that you have right now on YouTube here in Davao. So yeah, good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, good afternoon. So our topic this afternoon is school and exit assessment tools for each student with our topic practical home-based activities to diagnose students' social and emotional skills. And then last Tuesday, developing assessment tools for decoding skills of young learners and creating diagnostic assessment tools for listening capacity yesterday. And today with me, school-based entry and exit assessment tools for each learning case stage. And tomorrow, I know you'll be learning also with the topic using early childhood care and development ECCD checklist for preschoolers. Again, this is all brought to us by Febal for free. Okay, so are we ready, teachers? I hope there are also parents watching. Teacher na, parents pa. Okay. So again and again, I'd like to thank Vibal for this opportunity, another opportunity of sharing to our teachers and parents as well. I know teachers, you are all very busy. And nagmo-multitask na yung mga teachers natin. They are also attending so many webinars. I think there are LAC sessions for public schools and for private schools, online classes are already ongoing. Distance learning in the Philippines is really here. And what better off to, to equip ourselves with how to put input and even deliver our instruction is to equip also with information and knowledge, most especially applicable in the new normal. And I know, kaway-kaway sa ating mga coffee ngayon ang ating survival juice. We wanted to be the best. And so many teachers I know are staying late just to deliver the best quality education for the students at the comfort of their homes, and others for the teachers, especially the public sector, who are all very busy for the printing of their modules. So we are all in this together, teachers. Sabi nga, there are so many Zoom meeting happening right now. Like here, you are in Zoom. In my classes, I'm also in Zoom meeting, and this is reality. Many of the students, they opt to off their video cam, and they wanted only to listen audio. So you just request, can you turn on your video so I can see you? And then, they will make themselves pretty, they make themselves pleasant also for the classes. Okay. Now, and of course, teachers, I know that you are really doing a great job preparing for your modules. But let us embrace this. I know darating ang lilipas ang mga buwan that we can really make and prepare the best and deliver the best for our students. Diba? Kaya nga yung theme song ko today is, for this new normal is, I will survive. Diba? Sabi nga ni Gaynor, at first I was afraid, I was petrified. Keep thinking I could never live without you by my side, Wi-Fi. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong, signal. And I grow strong. And I learned how to get along. And so you're back, Wi-Fi, from outer space. So maraming mga theme songs ang lumalabas sa atin sa ngayon as we embrace the new normal. And of course, we as teachers, our goal really, even if it's a normal or the new normal, is to teach. We are here to teach the kids. And this reminds me of this quote. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn, especially in the new normal. How do we deliver quality and sound instruction to our students, whether offline or online? And what better ways are we going to assess their learning? Okay? Let's teach kids to think outside the box and not to fill in circles. When we teach, we look forward for the output. Are our kids learning from us? Do we teach the kids outside the box? So let's see. This afternoon, we're going to look into the entrance and exit assessments for the kids on how are we going to assess their learning, not only in the normal sense, but in the new normal way. Okay? So, whenever we do something, whether it's always like in the normal setting or this new normal, I think we teachers should always begin with this. Begin with the end in mind. I really love this one. It's from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Always begin with the end in mind. When you are teaching, what's the output? What's the end goal? Begin with the end in mind. Do you also reflect on that when you are teaching? What is the output? What do you want your students to be? What's the end in mind? When we as parents, what's our end in mind, diba? We want our kids to be prepared for the real world. We want our kids to be prepared for the future. So always begin with the end in mind. And what's our target? What's our target for the new normal? What's our target at the end of this school year? Target. This is a market in, I always love this store. There are so many back on my stint in the US. I always go to this store. So while I was preparing my slide, I say, okay, that's a Target. And I took this logo from Target. Do we have a target when we teach? Do we have the skills as our target for the students to learn? That's our target. Now, let me walk you through again with DepEd Order number 21, series of 2019, the policy guidelines of the K-12 basic education program. Let's look into the terms first before we go through with our assessment ones. Key stage, according to DepEd Order number 21, series of 2019, key stage refers to stages in the K-12 curriculum reflecting distinct developmental milestones of the students. Assessment of learning is critical at the end of each stage. In area levels, meron tayong key stage. What is the distinct development milestone that the child should achieve at the end? Okay, key stage. I know we're all very familiar with this because we are always using our curriculum guide, our CG, when we start with the K-12 curriculum. Lahat ng CG, lahat natin yan, na-review na natin yan as teachers, di ba? So what are the developmental milestone on each key stage? Now, there are 4 key stage areas in Philippine education. The first stage is kindergarten to grade 3. What are the key stages for stage 1? Stage 2, grade 4 to grade 6, or the intermediate level. Stage 3, grade 7 to grade 10, or stage 3. And stage 4, grade 11 and 12. Okay? Now, these are the 4 key stages. Now, key stage standard, on the other hand, this shows a degree or quality of proficient, that the learner is able to demonstrate in each key stage after learning a particular learning area in relation to the core learning area standard. So we have the key stage and we have the standards on each stage. Okay, as an example, for example, in key stage 1, kindergarten to grade 3, I took this from DepEd Order, number 21, series of 2019. For key stage 1 to grade 3, beginning at an early age, learners must be cared for and provided with all opportunities to address their developmental needs for lifelong learning. Diba? Learning never stops. So learning is lifelong. To contribute to the fulfilling goals of elementary education, the kindergarten to grade 3 curriculum. So our stage here, to provide learners with opportunities to engage in meaningful and culture-based learning experiences, and provide learners access to carefully selected and developmentally appropriate learning materials and resources. So that's why when you start with key stage 1 for kindergarten, it's always about concept, sense of self, and community. It's always about me and my community. The concepts and ideas in the different learning areas will follow, and always a positive attitude towards learning. And in key stage 1, this will equip learners with fundamental literacy and numeracy skills and competencies needed for academic success in later key stages. That's why it's very important that the key stage 1 should be addressed by our teachers and of course with the support of our parents. It's always about key stage 1, me, myself, and my community. Diba? Kaya i-transcend into the different learning areas. We start first with the understanding of self and community. And that reminds me of the lesson, especially for Araling Panlipunan sa kindergarten, di ba? Ang pagpapakilala sa aking sarili. Because our ultimate goal is to introduce the sense of self and community for stage 1. I know our teachers here, especially primary teachers, I know that you are all very familiar with learning about self and community. Now, for the kindergarten curriculum, the following domains are very important in stage 1. To develop holistically, number 1, is our social-emotional development of the kids. Values development, physical health and motor development, aesthetic and creative development, mathematics, understanding of the physical and natural environment, language, literacy, and communication. These are the following domains that the kindergarten curriculum should address. Kaya nga meron tayong ECCD. I know tomorrow you will have a very productive discussion about ECCD. But for key stage number 1, these are the domains that we are addressing. Okay. Now, for kindergarten, that's why meron tayong blocks of time when it comes to kindergarten. In the regular setting, in the regular classroom, wala pang COVID, we have the arrival time for the kids, diba? You have meeting time, and then you have work period, meeting time too, and the blocks of time divided into different activities. That's why in preschool, it's highly recommended that kids should be working with activities. And kids supposedly should not sit the whole time pag kindergarten because they need to explore. I remember on my immersion in a preschool class back in the United States, the preschool area is really very, very big. But then I'm really amazed because the kids transfer from one area to another. Like this time, they will get inside the classroom, they will fall in line, they will choo-choo, all aboard, choo-choo. Then when they reach the classroom, they will be seated. Then they will sit down and the teacher will, what's in the name? And then later, the teacher is already introducing the lesson without the kids knowing that it's math or it's English or it's science. Diba? Kindergarten should be a lively discussion and kids should be going, diba? Not seated all the time because we need to develop the physical, the fine motor skills, and other skills that the kids should know, especially with interacting. But with the new normal, things are already changing. Assessment will also change the way we do things, especially with kindergarten. I have a pre-kinder, and I can see the effort really of our teachers doing their best to deliver and assess students, even if it's like this, the online thing. Okay? Sige. Now, key stage grade 1 to 3. Kindergarten, then we move to grade 1 to 3, but we're still on key stage 1. The program serves as our springboard for formal schooling. This is where learners are initially exposed to learning and taught in separate blocks of time. For 6 years old, so we have grade 1. For 7 years old, we have for grade 2. And for 8 years old, grade 3. Medyo bata ang mga entry points natin ngayon sa ating K-12 curriculum. I remember I entered grade 1 at the age of 7, di ba? Tayo mga teachers, we entered grade 1 at the age of 7. So things are really very different right now. But K-stage 1 is our springboard talaga for formal schooling. Kaya nga, we have limited time dapat na ginagawa o ginagamit ng mga bata to enjoy school, especially kindergarten. It's really very the foundation of everything. Kids should be in an environment where they love to go to school. That's why preschool teachers are really the most lovable teachers. Diba? Kaway-kaway sa ating mga preschool teachers dyan. And the primary means of assessing kindergarten learners, I took it from depth order again, is through observation throughout the different blocks of time. Diba tayo sa kindergarten, we have the ECCD checklist and observation checklist to see the development of the kids from day 1 for every month or every quarter and at the end of the year. Assessment in kindergarten is designed to help teachers understand the strength and weaknesses of the students. And usually sa kindergarten, dapat qualitative, non-numerical recording and grading system. Di ba? Dapat sa preschool walang nakikitang numbers dyan eh. Dapat qualitative lahat. When you assess students to the ECCD, it's always like check, 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 check. Di ba? And it's always dapat yung nagkakandak ng ECCD is also trained on how to evaluate the kids, especially the performance of the child. Okay? Now, that's the assessment for kindergarten. Now, for grades 1, 2, and 3, we use formative assessment and we do also summative assessment. Now, for formative assessment, we provide learners with immediate feedback and on how well they are learning. Formative, you use feedback and it could happen any time of the lesson. Even if you ask question and there's answer, then it's formative assessment. For summative assessment, we use it to measure whether learners have met the content and performance standards of the students. And the results of summative assessments are used as basis for computing learners' grades. Later, we will walk through again the difference between the formative and the summative assessments. Now, from Key Stage 1, kindergarten, now we move to Key Stage 2, from grades 4 to 6, the intermediate level. Now, our Key Stage 1 is our springboard for formal schooling. Children should be exposed how to love school and how to practice the different formative and summative assessments. For them to be ready with Key Stage 2, this is an enhancement already of literacy and numeracy skills. And of course, in preparation for the academic demands comes high school. And of course, sa stage na ito, we already use HOTS, diba? Higher order thinking skills to be able to adjust and respond appropriately to varied situation. It's very important, especially what I discover right now in the new normal, even for college students, I can see it's a reality. I think Filipino learners are not ready for independent learning, just my observation. Kasi we give asynchronous and synchronous activity. For asynchronous, you leave them with activity, you recorded already your lesson like this, you record it and put it, and let them replay the videos, and then you have this evaluation and then or something activity and they will answer. Or if you give them individual instruction. I guess Filipino learners are really audiovisual. They really wanted to see teachers really alive sa classroom or on screen. So they learn better that way. I think there's something to do also on how we train our students at the early age for independent learning. Higher order thinking skills to be able to adjust, to respond appropriately to varied situations. That's why ngayon very difficult sa mga bata ang mag-adjust. Even we teachers, we find it very difficult right now where we are migrating from the brick classroom to an online classroom. And for Key Stage 2, further development of knowledge, skills, and attitudes to participate effectively in community and nation-building activities. So dapat may foundation na ang mga bata, coming from Key Stage 1, going to Key Stage 2. And the role of the teachers, especially coming from the foundation, is really, really very important. Now, assessment for grades 4 to 6. Of course, we do formative and summative assessment as expected. And at the end of grade 6, our end for stage 1 is grade 3. Ang end natin for stage 2 is grade 6. So at the end of grade 6, learners will be able to assess already with the national and international assessments, diba? To check if they are meeting the key stage standards, to evaluate also the effectiveness of grades 4 to 6 programs. That's why, diba may mga RAT tayo, may mga NAT exams tayo, to see to it if our learners met the standard set And for those competencies, na-target ba natin, na-achieve ba natin? By giving them the national achievement test, then we get to see the real picture. Diba? Meron mga tayong ginagawang mga diagnostic test before. And then we have this assessment at the end so that we can see in what way can we intervene if we give them diagnostic. But at the end of grade 6, these competencies, these key standards should be mastered by the child so that at the end of grade 6, we'll see if the child is ready for high school. Okay? Sige. Now, for key stage 3, now we move to junior high school. The goal of the junior high school curriculum is to provide learners. Dapat na-master na ang key stage 2, di ba? So that the time that they reach junior high school, learners are already, equipped with the opportunities to learn fundamental concepts at a higher degree of complexity. That's why if you notice on our CG, in curriculum guide, there are some revisions that were made. Of course, right now in the new normal, may bago na naman. Best example is the Araling Panlipunan. Now, di ba, from Philippine history before is taught in grade 7 first year high school. But the Philippine history is already chunked in grade 4, 5, and 6 na areas. Because once they reach already junior high, they should already may knowledge na talaga sila of the Philippine history so that they can anchor it on a higher level comes Asian history when they reach grade 7. So, the higher degree of complexity. So, if the child may mga missing points in key stage 1, mahihirapan ang bata to master, magti-take time talaga siya to master key stage 2. And from key stage 2, pag may mga laps, may mga gaps, it will be very, very difficult also for the child to get through with stage 3. Now, our goal in stage 3 is to help learners develop an increasing degree of independence in applying knowledge, skills, and values learned. Kaya nga, as I mentioned earlier, it's really very important to enhance the higher order thinking skills of students at an early age, especially when we ask questions, especially using the how, the why, di ba? Less lang siguro ang what and when. So, because mabilis lang naman yun eh. But if you ask questions with the how and why, children will think. It's teaching them also how to think. Diba? Sige. Example. For grade 10 English standards, from those key stage standards, we go to learning competencies. We have the performance standards and the content standards. And from the content standards and performance standards, we have the learning competencies, like this. If our program standard is that English, in English, the learner demonstrates communicative competence to his or her understanding of literature and other text types for a deeper appreciation of Philippine culture and those of other countries. Di ba may mga Afro-Asian na. Grade level standard for grade 10, demonstrate pa rin understanding of literature and other text types for deeper appreciation of world literature, including Philippine literature. And then we go to content standard. The learner demonstrates an understanding of how world literature and other text types serves as ways of expressing and resolving personal conflicts, and so on and so forth. And then the performance standard. And then from the content standard, performance standard, we have the learning competencies. Those learning competencies are all under the same target, the bigger picture, which is our key stage standard. As teachers, I know that we are all very familiar, but if not, maybe this one could be our refresher course. Okay, now, Araling Panlipunan, I'm teaching also history. I'm a history major, so I love history very much. I love English too. So, Araling Panlipunan, example for grade 7. Our focus is Asian history. Our topics include katangiang pisikal ng Asya at ang mga likas na yamang tao, paghubog ng sinaunang kabiasnan at sinaunang paumuhay. Okay? And this subject, this one, grade 8, world history. Grade 9, economics. And grade 10, contemporary issues. And of course, the ultimate goal for that is for our kids to understand his or her role as a citizen of the Philippines and as a citizen of the world. Okay. Now, the outcomes or our standards. Di ba, sabi nga ng Nescafe, ikaw, para kanino ka bumabangon? Di ba? Para sa ating pamilya. And when you teach, why do you teach? It's because you're going to give a test? Di ba? Parang sabi nga ng friend ko, no? Sabi niya, are we just teaching because we need to test? Or we are teaching because we want something that the children should know? I think it's a reflection for us teachers. Are we teaching just to test? Or we are teaching because we want our students to learn from us? Of course, we need to meet the standards. We need to have that target. And our outcomes, all of the activities that we've been doing should always go back to the outcomes that we want from our students. Okay. Now here, key stage outcomes, grade 3, level 1, grade 6, level 2, grade 10 is our level 3, and grade 12 is our level 4. Okay? Now, all of these key stage outcomes, we all go back and look into our learning competencies and how learning competencies are all anchored to the content and performance and the standard set for each subject, for each learning area. But there are so many things happening right now. And because of those changes, especially with the crisis that we are facing, the government also, at some point, of course, the government reviewed those competencies that we will be offering to our kids, but targeting also the standard set. Okay? Now, so why are we doing this? Again and again, teachers. Why do we teach? Why do we need to assess our activities? Why do we need to evaluate the performance of our students? Diba? That's always, do we know where we're going to? Sabi ni Diana Ross, do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Why are we doing this, teachers? Why do we teach? Assessment. We are teaching, at the end, we're going to assess. Evaluation of something. We need to do this. At the end, we give something to check for understanding, to check if the students learn from us, or to check if we met the standards at the end. Okay? Now, there are two types, of course, commonly in general. So we have two types of assessment. It's either formative. This is a refresher course. I know it's very familiar for us teachers. The formative and the summative way of assessing students' understanding. Now, if we say formative, you use assessment procedures that requires information to adjust teaching or during the learning process. Diba? Formative assessment can happen at any time. When you are discussing, you can insert formative assessment even with the way how you ask questions. Summative, on the other hand, is a standard of evaluating learning of students that's really graded. Summative. Formative, it goes with feedbacking. The nature of formative, it's more of diagnostic. That's why we give questions to check for understanding. It could happen at any part of our lesson. Or summative, the nature of it is really to evaluate. And formative is always called as assessment for learning, to check. And summative is assessment of learning. Okay? And our aim for formative is to enhance learning and to see which part should we work out so that the kid would be prepared in the end to measure students' tests, quizzes, and etc. Formative assessment. Get the child to be ready before we go with the online thing. Before we formally take that final test of conducting our online classes, we do a lot of formative tests by conducting trials. Meron tayong mga simulation to check if we're really ready to be on this new sense of normal online teaching. And of course, formative is instructional process. It's instructional. But summative is more on a grading process. We grade. It's really very, it takes really an effort of the teacher to be creative, especially right now, the challenge really of doing remote learning, distance learning, online teaching, it's really very challenging. But I hope at the end, it will be rewarding. Okay. Now, we are looking into the different kind of assessments that we will be doing, school-based assessments. But as we embrace the new normal, I'd like to share to you some tips on which we can make our learning fun, assessment fun, even at the comforts of our homes. And of course, targeting our standards. Assessments in distance learning, how do we do it right now? Let's decide, however, we need to make strategic decisions to put what is need to know, and what is nice to know. What are those lessons that we really need to know? And there are some lessons that it's just nice to know. That's why we right now, Department of Education came up with this. Which standards are our priorities? Which competencies are our priorities? Yeah, when I'm looking into the MELCs way back when it was released June, July, and looking into the different learning areas, the MELCs, many topics, competencies were taken. But I think in math, marami pa rin yung math. So I think parang as is yung math. But other learning areas, medyo lumiit na, nag-chunk na siya. Pwede pala to make things easier for our kids learning from home. And with our experience in the new normal, we started our online class last August 24. And I think it's really very different. And our mindset for our brick classroom is not really the same with the online thing. I think yung mindset natin, ibahin natin. Because things right now, especially students right now, have really a difficult time doing things on their own because it's new to them. So the most essential learning competencies, the MELCs, given to us, should also be taken if it's really real. Especially its readiness. Is it enduring? Its endurance? Can we assess it? And even our leverage or our advantage on that. Which standards are our priorities in the new normal? Which activities should we push through as we conduct this, as we make the most of our time in our learning at home, or even modules that we are using? I know there are the modules are coming from the central and then it cascades to the local units, especially for our teachers. But I think we should, as teachers, we should also look into the kind of assessment that we are using. For private schools, I think we have our way of doing things, especially when we are using LMS or our way of assessing. as long as it is within the most essential learning competencies, and of course, targeting the standards. Okay. Now, the learning competencies, the last na pinalabas sa MELCS, it is aligned with national or local standards. Scientifically literate Filipinos now. It connects with the content to higher concepts across content areas. And of course, the most important, learning should be applicable to real life situation. So if students leave school, it would still be important for them to have this competency above many others, and would not be expected for most students to learn this in settings other than the formal education. But I think this marks is only applicable on this crisis that we are facing. But hopefully we can go back to normal. Now, assessments. For example, in preschool, in a regular basis, diba, when we admit students, especially for preschool, we give them readiness assessment, diagnostics, to check for prior knowledge of the kids. So they're taking tests. It's private schools, we have our own tools, and of course, public schools may tools then, to check for the understanding of the children. So that's why readiness assessment is very important as our background kung saan papasok si teacher for intervention along the way. And of course, we are using ECCD for our preschool to check on the different areas. And I really like the early childhood developmental checklist because there's parents' participation. And it's attacking not by numerical, but it's on the holistic formation of the child, which is really, really very important. I really admire preschool teachers because their task is really so big of making things, especially learning, enjoyable for the kids. I think if you have a very beautiful background, if you have a very beautiful experience for your preschool, you will start to love also the other grade levels, di ba? Magiging mas masaya ang learning ng bata. So in the ECCD checklist, you have to check the socio-emotional development. Even for the height of the kids when they enter school, ano yung height ng bata. So you get to see, you get to assess the values development, yung physical nila, especially yung development na nangyayari sa bata when they started school August and by the end of August. What are those changes that happen to the child? Ang motor development ng mga bata, the aesthetic and creative development, kaya na bang mag-grip ng bata, kaya na bang mag-drawing ng bata, diba? Mathematical skills, numerical skills ng mga bata, it's also very important for preschool. That's why when they conduct lessons, they sing numbers, diba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's all, everything is introduced through poems, through songs, for students to get, diba, the skills needed. Pakanta-kanta. But actually, at the end, when you let them sing, you are already assessing the child learned already because he was able to sing the same song and then yung tama yung pagkakasunod-sunod. And of course, understanding the physical and natural environment, language, literacy, and communication skills of the child. Okay. Now, when you are doing, diba, in different schools, this is our admission test. Especially for private school, we give SRT, we give OTs, Lennon, School Ability, or the ALSAT for grade school. We have tests for high school entrance and secondary school admissions test. This is very, very popular to check the level of understanding, the IQ level at some point of our students, and for us to intervene if there's a need for us to intervene, looking into the result of the test. Okay? Now, tests are very important, especially diagnostic tests, for us to attack which tools, which activities are we using for our kids. But in the new normal, it's really advised to take bite-sized activities for the children. Bite-sized teaching. Less is more daw. In the new normal, kids and even teachers are adjusting. Why don't we give bite-sized activities? Simple. Pero natatarget natin ang competency at the end. Now, when you are conducting online classes, you can really make use of this, use of science. I can see this in the preschool class of my kid, the yes or no cards. Merong banner si teacher. It's a yes or a no. It's checking for understanding. It's diagnostic. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Diba? We're using thumbs up. So, the activity is clear? Yes or no? And the kids were yes or no. Are there things that you want teacher to repeat? And then the kids will say yes or no. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's also a way of diagnosing kids' understanding. Or you can use the different color cards. Red, I'm completely lost, teacher. Yellow, slow down, I'm struggling a bit. Or green, I've got it. It's all good. So I think sa online teaching, may immediate feedback ka pag synchronous class because you can just do this and the children will reply to you synchronously. Although there are challenges along the way, but you can use this as a checking for understanding. You can use this formative assessment in any part of the lesson. Diba? Is it a yes, yes, yes? If this is a live session, I always ask my audience, it's Crystal? And my audience will say, clear. Diba? That's also my way of checking if it's really clear to them so I can move on. But I cannot see your responses. I can only see your responses here, good afternoon, and learn as one. Okay, sige. Use of signs. And siguro for high school, senior high school, we can use entry and exit slips already. Diba? This is on Twitter of Udotopia. Udotopia is a very good website for us teachers. It's a simple way for teachers to gauge where their students are through tweets. Circle the emoji that best represents how you feel after today's lesson. Well, I know and I understand that all students have Twitter accounts. Wala din akong Twitter. I only have Facebook. I don't have Instagram or even Twitter. But I think I'm trying to love Twitter also. Twitter is also engaging, di ba? Because the text and the words that you use, talagang you need to think the right words so that kasya siya sa 140 words na. Okay. You can use entry and exit slips, especially when you are conducting online classes. You can tweet, tweet, tweet. Okay. You can use low stakes quizzes and polls, especially for grade school. We're trying some and kids are really enjoying sa online. I know some module mag-iiba because they need to answer on a different way. Low stakes quizzes and polls. So you can use Socrative, Quizlet, Kahoot, Flip Quiz, Input, and Clickers. The example of this. So here is an example of Socrates. It's a classroom app. It's a classroom app for Socrates. I think you can sign up for free. I tried it. You can start a quiz and it's really interactive for students. You can have multiple choice, true or false, or short answer. Right. For example, parang formative lang, it's one way of checking if they learn before you go through with the final or the summative assessment. You can download this on your phone. You can download this on your laptop for the Socrative app. Okay, so I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint. That's why it's really also very beautiful. When you use your PowerPoint, you have ready designs already. Okay, so you can use Socrative as a way of checking for formative assessments or maybe summative assessments. Pwede rin. Okay, you can also use this one. It's Quizlet. So there's an option. There are free versions for you to use. Quizlet. We've been using it for high school and the kids are really very, they like it because it's interactive. So let's try using Quizlet also, especially if you're doing online. And there's another one, it's Quizalize. Our teachers are using this also. Kasi if you just put there the different competencies and your test, and then if they answer it, and you target. Kahoot! Are you all familiar with Kahoot? I think this one is the most interactive so far, especially for grade school. So they like Kahoot. And what I like about Kahoot is that you can do collaborative activity with the kids. You can team them up and they can answer all together. So probably to encourage students also to answer, you can put scores on it, not really big scores, for them to be encouraged to participate. Okay? You can have, but in the new normal, yung mga quizzes dapat and summative assessment should not be more eh. 1 or 2 quiz, it's, I think for me, is enough already. And yeah, later we'll discuss how to do it online. Kahoot. If you don't have, probably it's time for you to use this one. It's really very interactive. Kahoot. Okay. Now, you can also use this one, GimKit. It's actually a high school student who made this app, GimKit. There is there is a portion for teacher. There's also a portion for students. Again, you can use this for in a formative assessment, GimKit. And of course, for us teachers, I think may na-observe ako, for some students, they are very, very shy when it comes to classroom setting. But right now, when you give them assignments, they can answer. Ay, very good pala yung batang itong mag-answer like sa essay. They get to express their ideas that way, then interacting na talagang nagsasalita o oral talaga yung kanyang pag-answer. But when you give them opportunities to write it, then they are more creative and they give their ideas on a different way naman. Okay, dipsticks meaning mas mabilis, dipsticks. Your checking of the understanding of the students is very fast because you can just use question and answer. You can use exit notes. Like in my class, I use exit notes. For example, meron kaming parang journal online that after synchronous class, what's your takeaway? I'll be giving you 1 minute to answer on our chat box on Zoom. What's your takeaway? Or they put it on our LMS. What is your takeaway for today? Exit notes. Siguro in the regular class, I used to have a small notebook for the kids, and then I put it at the end of the class. I give them 5 minutes to answer their exit notes. And also the 60 seconds paper. I give them piece of paper. I'll give you 1 minute. What's your question? Or what are your takeaways? One piece of paper, then I gather it. The 60 seconds paper. You can also use the Padlet. This one is Padlet. The use of virtual corkboard online. So it's just like blogging. What are your takeaways? And other students get to interact also with the evaluation or with the process or with the the realization of the students through Padlet. I think maraming free version online. I think ang pinaka-skill na discover ko is a skill on figuring out apps in the new normal. You can use Twitter, just I mentioned, the minute paper, or you can do online collage making. There are so many available material online. And use of portfolios. This is especially true for grade school. When you assess activity, hindi lamang yung tipo na paper and pencil. Diba? You can use growth portfolios, especially for preschool, na meron silang activity nung nursery, meron silang parang folder, and then, pag dating nila ng pre-kinder, the teacher will transfer the same folder sa next teacher to check, ito yung mga nangyari sa kanya, yung mga output niya ng nursery. Pag kinder, pre-kinder, nilalagyan uli ni teacher. And at the end of the school year, ita-transfer uli ni teacher sa kindergarten. And then yung kindergarten teacher, at the end of the school year, ibibigay sa parent. So the parent will see, ito yung developmental milestone ng anak ko since he or she started going to school. Growth portfolios. We can also use showcase portfolios, especially the products of their learning. Okay? Yung mga activity output nila, artwork nila, yung mga best output ng mga bata, we can put it to showcase to showcase sa learning ng mga bata. We can have showcase portfolios. Let the kids put on a folder the things na output nila on different subject areas or on our subject. They can do it digital right now, di ba? They can take a picture and then post it on the folder and then to track it. So far pala, ito yung learning na nangyari. Or you can use evaluation portfolios to document progress towards a certain standard. Like all of the tests that you're taking, you document it, and at the end, when you took the exams, what are those things that are missing? What are those things pala that needed intervention? Evaluation portfolios. You can use that even for offline. Ano yung mga result ng kanilang mga activity on the different modules that they are using. And of course, that's my daughter Nina. She's holding the Bal book across borders in English. The use of pictures and videos. Right now, kids can send videos output of their activity, diba? And then they just send it through Messenger or you're through the LMS. You can record your activities, those activities that the teachers designed for the kids to use, and then you can send still pictures or videos. Like the other time, I've checked on the output of the kids in PSP and how to show your love and care to your parents. So the kids, they recorded a video showing how they show their love and affection to their parents. And for some, how do you care for your neighbors? Example lang, na meron silang kapitbahay, they give food. So we can make use of this, but of course, always go back. Ano ba ang tina-target mo with those activities? Go back to the learning competencies. Go back to the bigger picture. What's the standard that you are after? Or, ang pinakamaganda is the use of PBL, project-based learning, project-based. So probably in this new normal, we can gather or we can integrate one subject to another. And then from that subject, we can integrate our competencies. We talk about it and we come up with a project-based learning or output. For the kids naman, not to be burdened with so many PEs. New normal na nga, ang dami pa nating PEs. So maybe teachers can group together, like ang output ng araling panipunan, baka pwedeng ma-apply sa MAPE or pwede rin ma-apply natin sa TLE. Diba? Or probably sa mathematics, for example. We use project-based learning. I think this is more authentic pag project-based. Kasi children get in touch talaga. And children get to explore with an output to be presented at the end. PBL, project-based learning. And let us leverage the use of technology. Given this scenario, Google, ano yun, of technology right now. And, sorry. So we also give, sorry. Get a brown out. Hello? Gani. Naghang. Oo, nag-lag. I don't know. Nag-lag. Naghang. Teka ha. Naghang ako. It's okay, it's okay. For a while. Miss, anong nangyayari? Sandali po kasi yung aking PowerPoint, naghang po yung aking, siguro with, actually it's raining, so medyo na ano yung internet ko. Okay, but anyways, the show must go on. So we use technology for the way we do things before will not be the same in reality. So when we do, we can turn on our camera and then let our students answer. It could be in Google Sheets, in Google's use of Google Sheets of our LMS, and then probably we could time like draft back in Google. We can use that, and we can actually monitor or time test our lessons and our quizzes. So, but the bottom line of all these things, dapat when we give tests to our students, when we give activity, always be with the thought that we are doing this, we are conducting assessment, we are evaluating because we wanted our student of why we teach, course, with the new normal, many adjustments will I am facing right now. So let's go on, ika nga. And as teachers, even we usually do, let's always look onto the brighter sides. What are we can use to leverage and to give the best to our students? Okay, Miss Michelle, I think opo. So,
Yes.
pasensya na po. Hindi ko rin alam bakit naputol ako. At yung aking PowerPoint ay talagang hindi gumagana. Okay. Sige. So, again, when we do assessment, always look into this. Formative ba ang binibigay natin o summative? But with the new normal, let's take into consideration also the level of our students and the capacity of our students and parents at home. So always bear in mind what we give, we also receive. So when we give so many output, we also receive so many outputs to be checked. But again, as teachers, I know we can do this together. Let's make our assessment fun, whether online or offline. And always begin with an end in mind. Okay? So, Miss Michelle.
Yes po, ma'am.
I'm sorry, merong technical glitch on my side.
It's okay po, ma'am.
Last 5 slides na rin sana ako.
Sorry. Ano po yan, ma'am? Sorry po.
Parang last 5 slides na ako.
Okay po. Ma'am, if you want, you can try to rejoin the in Zoom po kasi medyo nag-stop din po
Sige,
yung
sige,
video
sige.
niya. Thank you po.
I think I need to, ano nangyayari sa Teka, miss ah.
Sure po, no problem.
Naghang talaga yung computer ko. I don't know why. Naghang talaga.
To our Kabibal viewers, sorry for we're experiencing technical difficulties. For the meantime, while we're waiting for Miss Donna, we'll be playing some videos first. Thank you.
Good afternoon again. Pasensya at siguro dahil na rin sa nagpa-fluctuate ba yung yung internet. So kahit na ilang Mbps pa yata ako, parang hindi rin. Okay, sige. Going back po. Sorry. Slide na ba ako? So going back, sabi nga kahit na mga teacher, kahit na anong ano niyan, the show must go on pa rin. So, sabi ko use of pictures and videos pwedeng gamitin in the new normal. And when, of course, para mas makatotohanan ang nalalearn ng mga bata, it's very difficult talaga to evaluate and assess students' learning, distance learning, especially the reliability and validity of our test. Kasi there are so many factors na nagko-contribute. So as I mentioned, I left it with this slide, leverage technology tools. So kapag wala tayong LMS or maybe we are just using Google, then we can use Draftback. We can do it pwede mong i-time yung test mo that once na start ng mga bata, bibigyan ka niya ng data that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes na natapos ng bata ang test. Assessment in the new normal teachers is all about teaching academic honesty and to trust our students. Whether we like it or not, for us teachers, we need to trust our students. And for our parents, we need them to trust us also with the new normal and how we do. Trust the process. Assessment, ang dami-daming tanong ng mga parents. How do you validate? How is it reliable? But it all boils down to our own values of honesty and trust. Diba? Trustworthy teachers to the students that they are really doing it on their own. And of course, teacher expectations matter as well. In the new normal, we've got so many things in our mind. But education must go on. The standards, the competencies might be, na-chunk na siya, bite-size, but then the ultimate goal natin at the end of the quarter, at the end of the school year, are we hitting the target? Are we hitting the standards set in Key Standards 1, Key Standards 2, Key Standards 3, and Key Standards 4? Are we preparing our students for the next level? Are we just teaching just to test? Or are we teaching because we want our students to learn? Okay? Now, in summative tests in the new normal, when we are giving tests, provide students with explicit and detailed rubrics to accurately communicate expectations for students' performance. It's very important po. When they do activity, do we provide rubrics for them to work on? Ano ba yung mga criteria for judging natin? Criteria for scoring. Do we communicate our expectation that at the end of the week, you should be able to? What are our expectations of the children? What are their learning competencies that they should master at the end of the lesson? Do we give face-to-face proctored tests? And it could also be incorporated for higher stake exams. Face-to-face proctor test. But I think this one is not viable, especially in the new normal. But what I think is the best when we give tests, it's more of online test, but the camera is open for us to check if the children really is answering the test. But of course, we trust them. After all, ang learning kailangan na ma-learn ng bata at hindi ng parent. Because sometimes, we can't do away with parents who are staying also with the kids when they do the online classes. But let's always have this in mind. The ones na kailangang matuto ay ang bata. So the output na dapat na i-test na i-assess natin ay ang learning ng bata. Synchronous web conferencing, recorded presentations, and could be presented asynchronously. Like this one, it could be recorded and for the kids to replay. If there will be like activities that we're going to give to the kids, they record their presentation and then give it to us. So we are looking at, the child really is the one doing this for the output. We are moving in the new normal. We're not moving, we are really in the new normal. And so things might get difficult at some many points. There's so many challenges and sometimes these encouragements as well. But education must go on. We teachers, our mission is to teach. May COVID man o wala, we should continue teaching our kids and assessing our kids if they are really learning. Okay? And gaya nga ng sinabi, the order of operations in teaching should be first student, relationship and wellness. Second is learning. And third, assessment. When we approach assessment practices, we should not lose sight of our priorities. Ano ba ang mga priorities natin? When we give out tests, ano ba ang priority? Are we hitting the target or are we just giving the test for the sake of the test? Okay? Always remember, we should always begin with an end in mind. And of course, another quote by Dr. Covey, paradigms are powerful for us teachers because they create the lens through which we see the world. If you want small changes in your life, work on with your attitude. But if you want big and primary changes, work on your paradigm. So, different way of looking things. If things are very difficult, look into the brighter side. Ano ang magagawa natin? Let's have that growth mindset as we approach this new normal. And of course, those are the things that I can share for you on how you're going to do assessments in your school, looking into and guided by our different key stage standards. And of course, this week, Bebal is giving us for free award. A theme for this week is Developing Diagnostic Instruments webinar series, and today school-based entry and exit assessments, and tomorrow, I think this is really very important, especially for preschool, how to use the ECCD checklist for preschoolers. And again, these webinars are brought to you by Bebal, and it's always free for all. Diba? The best thing that happened in this new normal is that our opportunity to learn for free at the comfort of our homes. And always, teacher, be happy, be bright, and be you. So, yeah. So this is again Teacher Donna. And thank you again and again for being here with Vival and learning from Vival every day, every week for almost 6 months already. I think if there are questions, we have time, Miss Michelle, to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Miss Donna. Let's now proceed to the question and answer portion. Our first question is from Hannah Bitare. Ma'am, what are the common misconceptions of parents about child learning in this time of pandemic?
Yes, I could really, what's the name again of teacher? Teacher? What's the
Hannah
name
po.
of the
Hannah.
Hannah? Miss Hannah, yeah. I think I will really agree with you, no, because the concept, there are a lot of misconceptions of parents. Because the thinking of the parents that is still the regular classroom, diba? That we give paper and pencil test and ganito yung mga activities. But we need also to think on the other factors that affecting kids learning at home and for teachers as well. I think one way to address that is to talk to parents through our parent teachers conferences, or maybe on your orientation, you could have laid down everything that on the new normal, these are the things that will change, especially when it comes to assessments. On a personal note, I think the best way, especially pag high school, I'll go for more of essay type test or project-based test na nakikita ko talaga na may output ang mga bata. Kasi if you give them like assessments, the multiple choice, and they're working from home, especially pag summative ha, I think iba yung natin, iba yung pagkuha ng mga bata. And especially pag walang LMS na ginagamit ang school, it will be very difficult for them to monitor and track also. But I think the best way is to communicate always to the parents that this is the new normal. And the things that we usually do in the normal setting, 75% of which will no longer be applicable in the new normal. And I hope that one is communicated to parents so that the expectations will be different as well. Okay? Kasi yung mindset natin, normal. We give the same amount of tests to the new normal that we have right now. Okay.
Thank you very much, Miss. Our next question is from Laura Panganiban.
Yes,
Hi,
ma'am.
ma'am. Do you think po this current class setup that we have could affect the outcome of these assessments?
Yes, definitely, because the competencies will change. And I think the nature of those assessments that we are giving will be giving will also change. Like for example, sa grade school, talagang very big challenge for grade school teachers how to do assessment. And the type of test that we are also giving. Especially for grade school, we need the assistance of the parents to answer. And if it's module, we need the assistance of the teacher, of the parents as well. So I think big factor talaga on the part of the parents is to set students for independent learning, how to do things on their own, and assistance will come if hindi na talaga kaya ng bata to do it. I think this pandemic will also be teaching, will teach also kids how to think and to do things independently without the help of the parents. Assessments will definitely change. Especially na may lumabas last time sa ano 'di ba sa news that periodical exams will be ano na wala na muna periodical exams but instead we go for performance tasks and written works. So hindi pa lumalabas ang dapat memo pero nauna yata yun sa news na nakita ko. So let's see what will happen. Definitely I'll go for more of performance tasks that would really showcase and will really be evident of learning ng mga bata.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is from Rico Kyonisala. Ma'am, how would you address assessment related issues in a large classroom size? Let's say you have 80 students in class.
Wow, that's really very big. May classroom ba na ganun kalaki? It should be two sections already, sir. Sorry ah. Kasi that's really very too big for a teacher to ano, especially if you are, for example, modules and then for one section you have 80 students. I think that will really take so much of your energy to answer. But I think in that, I think I'll go for online assessment, like Google Sheets, you can use those online thing for them to answer. And there are some apps that they can reshuffle test items. And if you just put key answers, it's automatic that you get to get also the answers.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po?
I think continue teachers to learn at home. And Vival gave us a lot of opportunities already to learn from home. For the past 6 months already, Vival is really true to its mission of giving, giving, information, giving knowledge to our teachers and our parents as well. So teachers, go on. Let's just embrace this new normal. I know we can do it with the help of each other. Let's strengthen ourselves, especially our health. And let's always remember to check on our own personal encounter with our creator as we ask for help, as we ask for strength. And I thank you again, Vibal, for this opportunity of sharing. Thank you, Miss Michelle.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, ma'am. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vibal Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.
Thank you, Miss Jillian. Thank you, Miss Michelle. Thank you, Vibal. Good afternoon.